Hey guys, espero que todos estén bien. Hello, how are you? How's everyone? Um, Figured I'd do something a little different today. There's a lot of things going on in the world, and sometimes we just need kind of a refresher of what is happening. Not only in our surroundings, but internally, right? So I wanted to read a little bit. I want to read for my own benefit, but I think it's important for us as women to understand what is going on in this country. Um, the Affordable Care Act, there is this ongoing thing about them not wanting to do the subsidies. And part of them not wanting to put the subsidies has to do a lot with the fact that they do not want that insurances cover they cover abortion. Let's not kid ourselves. This is all about women's rights, and it always has been for many of different situations. Now, if you're brown like me or you're black, we are simply collateral damage in this damn game called the United States of America. Okay, we're collateral damage because what they're looking for is white babies. Excuse me. Let's not kid ourselves. The white population has been declining for a while and our populations are increasing. So, what they don't want to be is a country of minorities where they are the minority. But I beg to differ. I don't think that we are minorities at all anymore. We haven't been for a long time. So, people need to get over it. I'm sorry to say it this way, but this is the way I'm going to start my live today. Okay. So, I'm going to read a little bit, not a lot, right? A little bit from Men Who Hate Women. This is a book by Laura Bates. She has a couple of other books out there, one more, I believe. And it's some great information because it kind of gives you an insight of what is happening. So, this is something that Gloria Steiner says. She says the killing of women because we are women is not only the most common crime in the world, it is also the single biggest indicator of whether a nation is violent on its streets or and will use violence against another nation. Laura Bates is showing us the path to both intimate and global survival. So, if that's not heavy, I don't know what is, but as women, we need to start listening and reading things that nourish us and inform us so that we can protect ourselves, right? That's really important in today's world. So, Laura has taken a critical case, one that society can no longer afford to overlook or trivialize. The reality of misogynistic extremists and the central role it plays today in family, social breakdowns, pro-lifting hate, terrorism, violence, political instability. The book touches on every aspect of our lives, personal, professional, political, and even unflinching, brave, and necessary. So I know that I'm by myself. I'm going to keep reading because eventually people will walk in here and we need to talk about these things. And I know people are going to be like a little upset, right? So here's another quote from Gloria Steiner. And she says Laura Bates has given women of every age a frank guide to standing up for ourselves and each other. It's really important that we start standing up for each other and looking out for each other. But I'm only speaking to brown women at this time. And if you want to take the message and you want to hear it, then wonderful. And if you don't, because you don't feel like this applies to you, well, then you don't have to be here, right? That's what reality comes down to. There's thousands of lives every day, and we all choose which lives we want to be part of and participate, and which ones we don't. So here I am reading the introduction to you of this book because read with me. Why not? Let's learn together something that we should be learning, but sometimes reading comes as a chore to a lot of people. I enjoy reading, basically. Okay. So here's the introduction to the book. It says imagine a world in which millions of women are raped, beaten, mutilated, abused, or murdered every year because of a simple fact that they are women. Imagine a world in which the hatred of women is actively encouraged with sprawling purpose built communities of men dedicated to fueling and inflaming the cause. Imagine a world in which such hatred blends seamlessly with racist rage, whores, blame for contaminating superior bloodlines, evading savages, conjured from hate fueled imaginations, framed from plunders of the dehumanization commodity of fragile white women. Imagine a world in which thousands of men band together, united by common code, demonizing, rallying against evil, soulless, greedy women, geographically plotting their rape, destruction, and glorious, bigoted uprising. Imagine a world in which some men actually enact such fascin- fantasies, killing women in a mass murder, leaving behind manifestos explaining the ideology that drove them to commit these acts of terrorism. Imagine a world in which vulnerable men, lost boys, and confused, scared teenagers are swept up and preyed upon by such communities which feed on their fears and push them towards hatred and violence and self destruction. You don't have to imagine a world. You already live it. But perhaps you didn't know because we don't like to talk about it. Fuck, if there was anything so in your face and bold, well, call me stupid, but that was, right? Why don't we don't like to risk offending men? We find it hard to think of straight white men as homegrown, homogeneous group, though it comes so easily when we think of other types of people because we're used to affording such men the privilege of discrete identities. These men are complex, heroic individuals. Their decisions and their choices are seen to spring from a set of district unique circumstances because we see them as distinct, as unique people. We don't mind talking about women as a group, about violence against women as a phenomenon, but we do as though it is something that just happens. We do not, as rule, talk about men, predators of violence against women. We describe women by having been raped. We discuss the rates of women sexually assaulted or beaten. We do not speak in terms of men committing rape or being sexually assaulters or violent abusers. That is what makes it easy to focus on women's dress, behaviors, choices when we consider sexual violence, to warn women that to take precautions to protect themselves, to implicitly or explicitly blame those victims who do not, because a rape is a shadowy, dark thing, wait to befall women who walk in alleyways wearing short skirts, not deliberating, criminal choice made by real men. When we are focused to confront these men because high profile cases hit headlines, we describe them as beasts and monsters in order to separate them clearly from those other ordinary, decent men among whom we walk every day. We don't count them, qualify them, or study them in any meaningful sense. In fact, we rarely think about them at all. We talk about masculinity, patriarchy, male privilege. The conversations are immediately derailed by accusations of generalization and prejudice. Not all men rises the ambiguous cry. It is too simplistic, too offensive, too broad, yet we raise views such as objections when the crime of a man with the brown or black skin are immediately assumed to be related to his race or religion. To speak ill of masculinity, to describe it in its current social iteration as something problematic, it is seen as an attack on men themselves. To question why some men behave in certain ways is viewed as an assault on men, thus unacceptable. Yet, the opposite is true. Those who speak of toxic masculinity are criticizing men, but rather defending them, describing an ideology and a system that pressures the boys, the men, our society, and our families to comfort to real, unrealistic, unhealthy, and unsustainable ideas, crushing gender stereotypes are damaging to men as individuals as well as society in which we live. Tackling this problem, dismantling these pressures, is a matter of life and death for our boys. They are toppling like dominoes into chasm we leave behind when we tiptoe around and refuse to name the problem. So, although I'm here by myself, it's interesting, right? It's interesting how we choose how to talk about our men, how we choose to describe things, right? Why? Why is it that we do this? Yet the opposite is true. Those who speak of toxic masculinity are not criticizing men, but they're defending them, right? That's what they do. What about talking about dismantling this toxic masculinity? Why don't we talk about that? Why don't we discuss that? Why are we always defending, but not him, not my husband, not my boyfriend, not my brother, not my father, not my son? Why don't we do better as mothers to try and do what's best for them? Why, as fathers, are we not teaching our young boys that this toxic masculinity that is being spread around everywhere hurts all of us, every last single one of us, including their mothers who have given birth to them? Why don't we discuss these things? Why do we let them go by the wayside? And that's the question I have today, which is why I wanted to read a little bit of this book. Because until we address these subjects, how do we begin to think about winning an election? How do we think about getting equality for all of us when our men, and more so, more likely white men, are the ones that are hurting the nation? And it's important to discuss these things. So I'll leave you with that for you to think about.